In this video, I will show you the differences between pseudo-classes and pseudo-elements. Pseudo-classes use single colon. Using a pseudo-class, you can target whole elements and apply styles based on their state or position in the document, such as adding a hover effect to a button. Pseudo-elements, on the other hand, are using double colon, and they allow you to style parts of an element rather than the whole element itself. So, using a pseudo-element is basically being more specific about your target. You can also create virtual elements that doesn't exist in the HTML document using pseudo-elements such as before and after. To have a better understanding of these concepts, let's use 5 examples of pseudo-classes and pseudo-elements. In this HTML file, I have 2 parts of content. For the first part, we will be using examples of pseudo-elements. And for the second part, we will be using examples of pseudo-classes. Let's start by using before and after. I will select the H1, and then using double colons, I will use before. And for the content, I will use this emoji. Now, as you can see, using the before pseudo-element, we basically created a content that doesn't actually exist in this HTML file. And before created this emoji literally before this text. And after pseudo-element works the same way. Now let's select this H3. Let's say after. And this time for the content I will use a different emoji. And now we have this emoji after this text. And the same thing as the before. We don't have the emoji inside this HTML. We basically created a pseudo-element that doesn't actually exist in the HTML. And for this paragraph, let's try to use first line and first letter. Let's select the P and say first letter. And let's make the first letter of this paragraph really big. And change the color to red. And let's use the first line as well. And this is going to target the first line of this paragraph. Let's make it color blue. And let's use one last example for this input. Let's select the input and change its placeholder's color. Using pseudo-element placeholder, we can change the color. Let's make it this blue color. And that is how the pseudo-elements work. Now, for the second part, we will use pseudo-classes. Let's start with this list. I want to select the first item from this list. In CSS, we will select the list item, and to select the first one, we can use first child, pseudo-class, and if I change the color to red, you will see the first item in this list item is going to change its color. And let's say I want to select the last one. For that, I can use last child. Let's make this one blue. But let's say I want to select from the middle, not the first, not the last. And for that, there is nth child. I can select the third one. And let's make this purple. Let's also select the second one as well. Let's make this one brown. And this is how we can select specific items using pseudo-classes. Now let's select this button and create a hover effect. I will select the button and say hover. And this styling is going to get applied when there is a state change, which in this case it is hover. I will make the text color red when you hover over this button. And there you go. As you can see, we didn't create anything new in the HTML page or anything virtual. We are just specifying parts of it and changing its styling. But using pseudo-elements like before and after, we can create new content like this in the page. And the one final example of pseudo-classes is going to be this input. Let's select it. And for this input, we will use focus. When you focus on this input, we will make the outline 2 pixel solid green and background color to red. Now in this two example of this button hover and input focus, we are not applying an immediate style change. Those are state changes. This styling is only gets applied when you hover over the button. And in this input, this is only going to get applied when we click on the input, like this. And this is how pseudo-class and pseudo-elements work. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for your time, and I will see you next time.